We filed a lawsuit yesterday where all of these individuals were named either on behalf of their children or themselves, and there are several other individuals that were named in the lawsuit that are not here. I think, again, it's important to start out with why we're here. This is, I think, one of the most touching pictures I've seen. This is Cole Keller about a week before he passed away with his new baby brother. They were in the same hospital. As he was leaving this world, his little brother was coming into the world. And if you look at his mother, I think, again, that's the face of this this tragedy that everyone seems to want to ignore. One of the big allegations in our lawsuit was that when we did our dust testing back in March, we found in every home a chemical that's called Benzaldehyde. It was found in the attic dust, and so every single home that we tested in Clyde has Benzaldehyde in it. We did a control sample in western Sandusky County, and there was no Benzaldehyde found there. That was the first significant finding for us, in that it was a common compound that was found in everyone's homes, and we think it will bear out that most all of the homes in Clyde have Benzaldehyde in the attic, because we tested homes that were fairly new, 10 years old. We tested a home that was 110 years old, and they all had Benzaldehyde at the same level. It was so remarkable that I actually had our lab test itself for Benzaldehyde, because I was concerned that there was somehow some kind of corruption in the testing process. So we double tested it, and again, they all came back at the same levels. That's a remarkable finding, because the air is the one common thing that all of these children that have gotten sick and or died have shared. Everyone's been saying the water's not the same, the ground's not the same, there's all these different elements. The one element that is the same is they all played out in the same air. Benzaldehyde is a hazardous substance as defined by the EPA. It's nothing to take lightly. It's nothing to laugh about. We were stunned, again, to find this in these attics. Benzaldehyde, again, was found in every single attic at levels that were several times above the acceptable EPA limits. One of the amazing things is we tested the Brown home, and we were looking for PCBs. Their home is fairly new. It's very clean. Their attic's very clean. It came back with nothing in it except Benzaldehyde. So again, it was a remarkable finding for us. If you look at the bottom here, you can see the parts per million that are found. And again, these are, and actually the Keller rental had a spike. We're not quite sure why it's higher, but again, they're all remarkably similar. They're on that last line in the amounts that were found in the homes. Benzaldehyde has been a suspected carcinogen for several years. This is not something new. The New Jersey Department of Health, back in 2002, put out a hazmat substance fact sheet that Benzaldehyde is a known carcinogen, or a suspected carcinogen. It can cause mutations, and it has to be remedied and cleaned up if found. The European literature is much better. They've known the dangers of Benzaldehyde, and actually the New Jersey Health Department based a lot of its research on research from Europe. Benzaldehyde is known to have a link to cancer in both rats and in rabbits. They've tested for mice, and nothing has shown up yet. Again, it's a fairly new issue for the EPA in that it was not on their hazardous substance list until about 5 years ago. But there's growing information on this because it is a problem. And again, it's been found in Clyde. Again, this is some more of the information, the research we attached to our lawsuit yesterday. We thought it was appropriate to attach it as an exhibit so that people knew that we weren't just up in the night, that we'd done our research. We have an environmental engineer on board, we have a chemist on board, we have an epidemiologist on board, and we're moving forward. Again, like I discussed, benzaldehyde is the first substance of commonality that we found amongst the children in the children cancer cluster. I anticipated one of the questions might be, and actually I think Tom asked me yesterday, why release the results now? We got these results, and based upon these findings, it's very likely that benzaldehyde is in every person's attic in the Clyde area. We did not want to cause mass hysteria or people to lose sleep. So we sent it to the U.S. EPA, we sent our results to the Ohio EPA and to the Ohio Health Department and the Sandusky Health Department and said, hey, here's these results. What should we do? And that's why we withheld at the last press conference, because we wanted the entities, the governmental entities responsible for dealing with this type of problem to either go in and do their own testing, tell us we're up in the night, tell us we have a big problem, and we got a letter back basically saying, thank you for your sampling. We'll discuss it with the various public health agencies, as the last line on that letter shows. So we're left in a quandary. We have some urgency. Our clients want to clean their attics, as I think anyone would. As part of any type of litigation, or even, as Whirlpool has stated today, that they're going to defend the community of Clyde, we want to give them an opportunity to test the same homes and other homes. So we got this lawsuit filed because once we do that, we can start in discovery, and we're going to invite them within the next few days to go in and test the same attics we did. That gives them the opportunity to see for themselves, to do whatever they need to do, and then we can clean the attics, and our clients can get rid of that worry. And we're going to invite Whirlpool to pay for the cleanup for anyone else who wants their attic cleaned, that it can show that there's benzaldehyde in it. I don't anticipate that they would jump at that opportunity, but at a bare minimum, our clients want to go ahead and clean their attics because they want this stuff out of there. Just so the complaint is several pages long. To break it down, we brought 4 types of claims. We brought claims for those families that have lost children to cancer. You've met several of them today. We brought claims for the families that had children get sick but haven't passed away, whose lives have been altered and devastated as they try to get their children well. We brought claims for those people who've gotten cancer whose property abuts or is very close to the Whirlpool Park. And we've also brought a claim to try to certify a class for those people whose property who's been stigmatized because of the Whirlpool Park. And also, we brought an individual claim on behalf of one of the property owners. And then we've also brought, separate from the individual lawsuits, we've asked the court to certify a class of people who have been affected by this benzaldehyde who don't know it yet, and so that they can receive whatever relief the court deems appropriate. Again, the classes that we want to certify, apart from the people that we're representing individually, those who've lost children to cancer, who who would qualify, living close enough to Whirlpool, the Whirlpool factory. We want to certify a class for those kids that have gotten sick and haven't brought in a lawsuit yet. And again, the stigmatized property from the benzaldehyde. This is something very interesting that I wanted to go through, because it's something that has not gotten, most of you have seen the maps of the childhood cancer cluster, but I wanted to talk about the Whirlpool Park. And the Whirlpool Park here is outlined with the yellow line. And Sherry Walden lived there. That was her family property, and she grew up there and raised her kids there. She got small cell lymphoma, had about a 2% chance of living, double mastectomy. She survived amazingly, sold her property, didn't have any idea what caused it. When she sold her property, Whirlpool Park was still a living entity that was being used by the community. Then across the street, we have the Weicker, and is Diana, I apologize. She's had 2 types of female cancers. We go down the street, our same house, we have Dustin Weicker, Diana's son, who has significant mental disabilities, and to the point that he's been totally disabled his whole life. It's not, sometimes my wife thinks I have mental disabilities. We're not talking about ADHD. It's a significant impairment that has prevented him from living a normal life. Brian Weicker, again, has a horrible mental disorder. Joyce Weicker lives right across the street. The Green Creek runs right by her property. Has had breast and ovarian cancer. Phoebe Pinion has had female cancers. Again, her property abuts the Whirlpool Park. Norma Mead lived right in the home across the creek, and she's had breast and uterus cancer. And she's one of the named plaintiffs. The person who lived in this home before the Meads did, died of cancer, and my understanding is the person that bought it after also got sick and died of cancer. So there's an amazing outbreak of, especially in women, of cancer, and then we have the developmental disabilities that to find 2 in one family is kind of like Larry having 2 types of cancer. It's a 1 in a million thing, and so the statistics are unbelievable in both the Whirlpool Park and in the childhood cancer cluster. And at some point in time, you have to just say, okay, why are all these statistical anomalies happening in Clyde, Ohio? Herbert and Renee Farley, their home is worthless. They put their life savings into it. They've invested a lot of money into it. They bought it from Sherry, and they're devastated. They don't know whether they should shower. Their 2 dogs died of cancer that were 5 years old. They died in the same week. And so they don't know what to do. They can't sell their home. Now they're upside down. They had equity. Now they don't. That's gone. And that, I think, is going to be a common problem we're going to see with a lot of folks in Clyde. Another interesting discovery is those of you who have been out to the park know that the Green Creek goes under a culvert under the road. And 3 weeks ago, we were out there. We're not allowed. We've asked the EPA to be involved in the testing that started yesterday. We've been denied now 3 times, even the opportunity to monitor it. But we were out there, and we found 75-gallon barrels of, we didn't know what it was. We dug up one of them, and on the backside there was a label of what was in it, and it's PTFE, I don't even know how to pronounce that yet. Basically, it's the product that's used in Teflon. And in Teflon, if you have birds, you know that you can't have Teflon-coated pans because it'll kill a bird. But PTFE is now also known as a suspected carcinogen. There are several lawsuits across the country for PTFE, and again, we have witnesses who've told us that dumping went on up until the time the park closed, and to find a barrel of a decayed barrel with this information sheet on it was quite stunning. Can we say that it's absolutely came from Whirlpool? No. We know that PTFE is used in lubrication. Just like your egg slides off of Teflon, metal parts slide really easily with this material. And so we feel that's a very interesting finding, and it does show that the dumping has been going on recently in this 20 feet away from Whirlpool Park. And again, this is just the EPA information on the PTFE. One of the things that's really upsetting to the families is Whirlpool has set up this web page. I think it's called Whirlpool for Clyde, which is we welcome. We want Whirlpool to be for Clyde, and we welcome that process. But we don't want them to disseminate false information. For example, on their web page, they say that there were samples taken from the US EPA from the Whirlpool Clyde facility that showed no contamination. And that's just bald-faced false. If you go back to the EPA findings from the Whirlpool manufacturing site, which I still don't quite understand why the EPA won't do anything about this, and it really upsets me because it's right next to these homes where all these kids have gotten sick. The EPA has found PCBs that were detected above the regional screening levels. There's arsenic above the regional screening levels. That may be explained away because of the soil in Sandusky County. And then there's dichloromethane that's detected above EPA. That's a known carcinogen, and so for them to say that their facility has been tested and found clean, that's not true. EPA is letting them move forward because it's fenced off and the public has no access to it. But what about their employees? What about the wind blowing across the soil? The Whirlpool site itself is contaminated, and we want it cleaned up, and the citizens of Clyde want it cleaned up to make this place a good place again to live. We've already heard reports of people who can't sell their homes. Banks aren't lending on homes. We've hired an expert from Cleveland State University who studies trends, real estate trends, and it is nearly impossible to get a loan on a home in Clyde. And we're working on that for all of our clients because they're all homeowners also. Not only have they either had cancer or lost a child, but their life savings and their investments in their homes have been totally destroyed. This lawsuit was filed. I know that Warren made the promise to Alexa that her death would not be in vain. And this lawsuit on behalf of our clients has been filed so that their deaths and so that their illnesses are not ignored and so that the problem can be fixed. And in this country, we get to hold people accountable for their mistakes and for what they've done wrong so that we can make our community safer. And that's what our clients are doing in filing this, is they want their community to be a place where people can buy a home, raise a family, and not lay awake looking at the ceiling at 4 in the morning and wondering if their kid's going to get cancer. And so, again, I appreciate all of our clients coming up because, a lawsuit is is paper. This is what the lawsuit is. It's these people. And it's our intent to hold Whirlpool accountable for what they've done and to have them fix the problem so that these people can live in peace again.